It's been a while since we looked at an Assassin's Creed game on this channel, and I want to get through the series and be as caught up as I could with it, but through playing the last games, it all just started to really blend together for me. Assassin's Creed 3, Liberation, Black Flag, Freedom Cry if you want to count that, it all started to look, feel, and play the same, and that has begun to hinder my enjoyment of the series. And when looking through these, I don't want to say something like, oh, it's just an Assassin's Creed game, because that can explain enough for some people, but what's the point of seeing a title such as Assassin's Creed Rogue is an Assassin's Creed game? Like, yeah, no shit, it's in the name. Also, when it comes to media, I want to find things I enjoy in them. When it comes to art, music, games, books, movies, whatever, I want to find things I can look back on and say, yeah, you know what, I kind of like that. And I don't want to be too overly critical about these games because for some of them, they're more than 10 years old. And imagine getting mad at a game that came out 10 years ago. Couldn't be me. And also, life just kinda sucks, and it's all because some fish decided to walk on land millions of years ago, and now we gotta do shit like pay rent and have an existential crisis every 2 weeks. Well, fuck that. I'm trying out optimism, which is a radical thing to do for someone who's online, and with this new mindset and taking a break from the series, I came back to it, and I can tell you that Assassin's Creed Rogue is an Assassin's Creed game. There goes my optimism. Rogue is the last game to be released on 7th generation consoles, with a remastered version released on 8th generation consoles. The PC version, which I played, was not the remastered one, and that's why the game looks like this. The game also came out on the same day as Assassin's Creed Unity, where Unity was developed by Ubisoft Montreal and Rogue by Ubisoft Sofia, similar to how Liberation was released on the same day as Assassin's Creed 3, also developed by Ubisoft Sofia. So you might consider Rogue to be like a companion game or maybe a spin-off title, but would you believe me if I told you that this game is considered a mainline release? Yeah, fuck me, right? The main selling point behind Rogue was that you get to play as an assassin who defected to become a Templar. Okay, now you got me interested. Ever since Assassin's Creed 3, when the Templars became more nuanced and complex than just nobles and politicians killing people for their own gain, I always wanted to explore the Templars more and see how much they ended up differing from the assassins. And did this game deliver? I don't know, man, watch the video. Rogue is kinda like a bridge between Assassin's Creed 3 and Black Flag, and by that I mean it'll have moments with sailing and naval battles, and then you'll be in New York. I guess this also takes place in between those two games, so what I said kinda has a second layer to it. That's what we call expert writing. Now there'll be a section where I talk about the gameplay, but there's not really much to say if you've seen the other videos. The naval combat has been sort of improved from Black Flag, but I didn't really partake in this as much, mostly because I'm just really tired of sailing. You can now drop burning oil on the water's surface instead of explosives, which is better, and the cannons feel like they reload faster. You'd think that the game would also feel different when you finally become a Templar, but really it just plays similar. However, you do now have to fight against assassins, so as you walk around you'll get this audio cue of like hushed whispers letting you know that an assassin is nearby, like it's some kind of psychological horror game. And that's kinda neat. They might be hiding on the rooftops, in the bushes, and haystacks, and when you get close they'll jump on you and stab you, and it'll finally make sense just how much that shit hurts. Apart from that, side content consists of collectibles because, you know, why not? It's a Ubisoft game at this point, you'd expect them to have them. And there's side missions from upgrading buildings in New York to stopping assassins, but these also just mirror things we've done in previous games. Like, you can deal with assassin affiliated gang bases, and it's just like clearing out Templar influence in an area, like what you've done in Brotherhood. And the assassin interception is a slight twist on locating your target to assassinate them, where now you have to locate your target and protect them from the assassins. At this point, really, I'm just playing these games for the story, and do I have some opinions on the story and a lot of opinions on the main character. The story of Rogue is not that long, it's only about like 9 or 10 hours or so, and this has been a point of criticism in the past, mostly because I assume it's being compared to other mainline games in the series, and this, again, also happens to be a mainline game, but I'm not really opposed to shorter games myself. No, my point of contempt with this game is the pacing, the writing, and the execution. Let's start from the beginning. The story spans 8 years, starting in 1752, where we're introduced to Shay Cormac, a member of the Colonial Brotherhood of Assassins. Some things to know about Shay is that his mother died in childbirth and his father was absent due to work. When Shay was 16, his father died at sea, leaving Shay orphaned. It was Shay's childhood friend Liam who introduced him to the Brotherhood, and at the start of the game we learn that Shay is about 4 years into being an assassin, and in the first act of the story we also learn that he has potential but is also shown to be insubordinate. He's also shown to be bullied by the other assassins, and in particular has a rather antagonistic relationship with another assassin who is 2 years his senior, Louis-Joseph Gaultier, a French member of the Brotherhood who calls Shay things like cabbage farmer. derogatory. We learn that the Templars have taken from the assassins 2 artifacts, the Voynich manuscript and the precursor box. The box is to help translate the manuscript, which leads to these precursor sites. Through eavesdropping, Shay also learns that an earthquake occurred in Haiti and that an assassin was going to go investigate one of these sites, but according to Adewale, he never returned, so we can assume that he was killed in action. Achilles gives Shay the task to go hunt down these Templars to retrieve these items and has Liam join him to watch over him. Shay's a bit disgruntled by this because he believes that Achilles is keeping secrets from him because Achilles just does not trust Shay, and that's why he had Liam join him on his hunt. And he also believes that Liam is Achilles' favorite, and this is causing a rift between him and Achilles. While hunting these Templars to get these items, Shay shows some distaste in killing some of these Templars, in particular 2 of them, Lawrence Washington, who is already dying of tuberculosis, and Samuel Smith, who is described as being so defenseless he could not hold his sword straight. When Shay brings up these grievances with Liam, he was then told something along the lines of, "Oh, who cares, they're Templars, it's what we do, we kill Templars and we love it," which doesn't really help, but it also shows that Shay doesn't really understand why the assassins and Templars fight. After Shay gets both of these items, the assassins learn of a precursor site located in Lisbon, and Achilles sends Shay alone to go and investigate. After he finds the site, Shay interacts with the artifact and it crumbles, causing a massive earthquake and possibly one of the best sequences in the game, where Shay has to now free run through this crumbling city to get back to his ship and escape. Shay, being very rightfully traumatized by this, believes that Achilles sent him to go and destroy Lisbon via this earthquake. Keep in mind though that Shay is aware of one of the tenets of the creed being "stay your blade from the blood of an innocent," and despite this, still believes this was intended, like they found some loophole because I don't know about you, but I don't think an earthquake is a blade. Shay sails back to the colonies and confronts Achilles, accusing him of knowing this was going to happen and that he had planned to level another city like in Haiti, which is a wild accusation to make, and Achilles, obviously shocked by this, tried to explain to Shay that maybe, just maybe, he did something wrong. Shay fires back with more yelling and Liam shows up to help break up the fight, and Achilles tells both Liam and Hope, the other assassin with them, to take Shay outside to cool off. Shay then decides that the assassins should not have this manuscript because then they could find other sites and cause more earthquakes. Now, I've seen a few arguments regarding whether or not Shay was justified in betraying the assassins, and it entertains the idea that the Brotherhood is corrupted and that Achilles was blinded by everything around him in a quest to destroy the Templars, or that he was just a narcissist or something, that he believed himself to be right and wouldn't listen to Shay, and I have a few issues with that. For one, the idea that the Brotherhood was corrupted because of their blind devotion to their mentor is not really new to this Brotherhood, because according to the creed, it's one of the 3 ironies. The assassins fight to free people, yet they ask for obedience to the rules for their members, so it would make sense why the assassins would side with Achilles over Shay, who, should I remind you, never fully understood what it means to be an assassin, so to them is just a novice yelling at the mentor. But what about Achilles being blinded to not understand that interacting with the artifacts would bring this destruction about, given what happened in Haiti? Okay, well for that, let's go back to the conversation he had with Adewale.
Tell me what happened, friend.
It was terrible, Achilles. The ground shook and the ocean waves crashed over Port-au-Prince.
How many were lost?
Thousands. No family was left untouched.
I hate to bring up practical matters at a time like this, but did Mackandal's man complete his task before the earthquake hit?
I cannot know. Vendredi has not been found. He was a strong Maroon, one of Mackandal's best students.
Such a shame. So we cannot know if he found the site.
Indeed. But if there was a temple under the waves, I doubt it is still standing.
They had no idea if the assassin even made it to the site, so they couldn't even consider whether or not the earthquake actually happened because of interaction with the site, or whether it was just coincidental. So how the hell were they supposed to know? One other detail we learned prior to this is that both Achilles' wife and son have passed away. They actually passed away with like a year within each other, both of typhoid fever, and his son, his only child, passed away the same year as the Lisbon earthquake. So to any Achilles haters out there, I'm sorry that this man is grieving for his dead family? Even Shay doesn't care about this, the prick.
He must never find another precursor temple. I don't care that he's mentor, or that his family is dead. There's no excuse for this level of madness.
Now, am I defending the assassins because I'm an assassin dick rider? Yes. So Shay steals the manuscript and he gets caught by Achilles, and then he says that no one has the right to decide the future of the world. And Achilles says, the right? We have the responsibility. And honestly, he could have worded it better by saying something along the lines of, we can't let the Templars have this because if they do cause earthquakes, then what if the Templars want to cause earthquakes? But Shay doesn't listen and he runs away and gets shot and is presumed dead. He gets carried away by these unknown figures who we can assume are Templars because, I mean, come on. And he wakes up a year or so later recovering from his wounds in the house of this couple in New York. Some gang members show up harassing them and Shay fights them off and hunts them down, and we can see from their flag that they are an assassin-affiliated gang, which raises a few questions, like why are they doing this? Why are they picking on this innocent couple? Is there a reason? Are they only here to make the assassins the villains of the story? Who knows? Shay then gets approached by George Monroe, who is very clearly a Templar because, boy, where the hell did you come from? And he's firing off this Templar propaganda beam into Shay's head and tells Shay that people could live a better life if someone invested in New York. Shay spends some time with Monroe and then comes to learn that the assassins are producing this poisonous gas, and while Shay was told it was to be used against colonial authorities, he was told by Monroe that the gas could kill everyone in New York, and that's probably what the assassins were going to do with it, and Shay just seems to believe this despite the fact that this is not even the assassin's MO. After disrupting this operation, the other Templars show up and unofficially welcome Shay into their fold, and we get a year time skip where Shay is reading a letter from Monroe and he mentions how Shay has been loyal to the Templars, so at this point now he is fully aware, and this is my next point of contention. It took Shay 1 year to be friendly with the Templars, and he may or may not have been indoctrinated into their ideology at this point, but if he has been loyal all this time and has shown the potential, then he may very well be believing their ideology. The problem here, however, is that it has only been, again, 1 year. Remember before how I mentioned that Shay has been an assassin for 4 years since the start of the game? Well, the Lisbon earthquake happened 3 years after, so that means he's been an assassin for 7 whole years. 7 years, and he's not learned their principles, philosophy, ideology, why they fight Templars, why they care about these sites. Achilles apparently never once tried to remove doubts from Shay's mind to get him to focus, and that French assassin, Gaultier, must have been calling him slurs the whole time, and no one did a damn thing. And that one bit about fighting Templars? Lawrence Washington died in 1752, Samuel Smith died in 1754, and no one in those 2 years listened to his grievances on killing them. He just had Liam's words stuck in his head and went, yeah, that's kind of weird, but it only took 1 year for him to agree with the Templars, and I'll tell you why. They probably didn't bully him, and he was like, oh cool, these guys aren't complete assholes. I don't know what those assassins were even on about. His naivety and gullibility is astounding, and this time skip storytelling bothers me because something must have happened in that year to cause this, but we never get to see it, and it's also mentioned that the Templars knew that Shay was also a former assassin, and he might think, oh, so they knew I was an assassin and that they're against me, and they might be helping me, keeping me safe from them. They could have killed me at any moment, and not thinking something like, are they using me? Are they lying to me? What's going on here? So I guess this is kind of like Act 2 of the game. So what happens now? Let's see. Monroe tells Shay that he found the manuscript, and Shay goes to help protect them from the assassins. Shay begins to hunt down his former allies and learns that Liam has already killed Monroe and got the manuscript back. So now it's just the first part of the game, but the roles are reversed. Fun. Oh, Haytham Kenway's in the game, and he inducts Shay into the order officially, and he accepts this without any doubts, because sure, guess he just accepts Templar philosophy wholesale at this point. Now Shay and the Templars have to hunt down the assassins to get the manuscript back, and after each assassination, Shay feels regretful and is trying to make it seem like it's not his fault, because nothing in this game is his fault. It wasn't his fault the earthquake happened, and it's not his fault he's killing the assassins. He even kills Adewale, and while trying to tell him that he's sorry, Adewale mentions that there's a special place in hell for traitors like him, and Shay just doubles down and goes, well, I guess I'm walking into hell then. My favorite section here is when he goes to kill Hope, and during that part we saw that Haytham attempt to get information from someone, and they said that if they spoke, then they'll be killed. Shay then said that if he doesn't speak, then Haytham will kill him. So he told Haytham and Shay what he knew, and Haytham just kills him anyway, and Shay doesn't say a damn thing. What happened to having problems killing innocent and defenseless people at this point, Shay? I mean, the guy just gave up and you're fine with him dying now? You didn't even talk back to Haytham. Connor had more guts than this guy talking back to his dad. But that is not my favorite part of this sequence, no. My favorite is when Shay kills Hope and says that he didn't want to do this. He just says, I didn't want to do this. Boy, what are you on about? You sound like an abusive partner. Oh, it's not my fault that I'm doing this. It's not my fault that I'm hurting you. This all happened outside of my control. If you didn't want to do this, then don't do it. Also, he got poisoned and the mechanic for this was to run so your heart kept pumping so you didn't die of the poison that's stopping your heart. And I'm not a doctor, but I don't think that's how it works. The final sequence of the game has Haytham and Shay heading towards the Arctic region because they learned that Achilles and Liam are there to head to another precursor site, and as they catch up with them, Achilles admits that Shay was right all along. Haytham and Shay make themselves known and a little scuffle happens that looks way more comical than it should, and now we're chasing Liam as he tries to shoot us. Shay kills Liam, and the dialogue in this area has something that really irked me, and it's that whenever someone mentions the word luck, Shay has to say, I make my own luck. He's been saying this since the start of the game, but he's been saying it like rapid fire around the end, and I hate it. While editing this video, I've come to see that I am actually kind of wrong here. I misremembered how often he said it in the final mission, and what actually happens is he says it often in the final few missions to the point where it just feels like he just says it constantly. Here's a few of those clips.
Good luck, Shay. I make my own luck. Master Kenway.
Work, Jack. With a little luck, the army will crush those damn brigands.
I make my own luck.
We lack the resources in New York to handle these criminals ourselves. With a little luck, we might be rid of them once and for all.
I make my own luck.
That was lucky.
How many times do I have to tell you, Liam? I make my own luck.
Alright, I get it!
Yeah, this still bothers me. Haytham is about to kill Achilles, but Shay stops him and tells him what kind of world are they building if they can't show mercy, contradicting his belief that no one should have the right to determine the future of the world. And also because if Achilles just dies, then the other assassins are going to show up anyway, and then Haytham agrees and shoots Achilles in the leg, because we need a reason on why Achilles walks with a cane, and yes, I get it, haha, Achilles' heel, that's the joke, haha. And also it's a reminder for Achilles to not forget what happened here. Afterwards, Haytham gives Shay the order that he is to find the precursor box, and this leads us to a few memories that only show up like a few times within the story. Throughout the game, you'll have a few memories where Shay is in France in 1776. These are sort of like corrupted memories, but they lead him to finding the current holder of the box, Charles Dorian, father of the future assassin Arno Dorian. Shay sneaks around, and while Charles is looking for his son, Shay walks up and stabs the guy and takes the box. While Charles is dying, he shit-talks Shay, telling him how Connor is killing Templars and how the American Revolution is going on, and Shay threatens him by saying that maybe the Templars should start their own revolution, hinting at the events of Unity, and these memories really show that Shay isn't the man he was before. Shay might have been someone who was more empathetic. He didn't want to kill a Templar who could barely defend themselves, and he felt immense grief after the Lisbon earthquake, killing and displacing thousands of people. But now, he is perfectly fine orphaning an 8-year-old boy when Shay himself was also orphaned at 16, especially since Charles was calling out for his son. Also, saying that the Templars should start their own revolution. Shay, I don't know how to tell you this, but people die in revolutions. Civilians have a high chance of dying in revolutions, and you're just fine with it? Now, I understand that character development is a thing, and I understand that stupid characters exist. I know that not every character is going to go about things like how I would go about them. I get it. You know, positive character development, negative character development, hero to villain, villain to hero, whatever. But let me read you this quote by Ubisoft Sofia's managing director, Ivan Balabanov, and see if you notice something. Shay, he doesn't forfeit his humanity when he becomes a Templar. He simply decides to follow another cause. It does not turn him into a callous, mindless killer. Shay remains Shay. He has an emotional evolution throughout the game, but it's still him. He simply changes his outlook. His loyalties remain the same. Shay's loyalties do not remain the same. That's the premise of the game. Also, Shay is the only ancestor so far to not get a message that he hasn't killed innocent people. On a more serious note, yeah, I'd say that Shay is still Shay. He never legally changed his name, but I think you do in fact forfeit your humanity when you orphan kids and start a revolution out of spite. The part where he says his loyalties remain the same, I would assume he meant his morality remains the same, because he also said he doesn't doesn't forfeit his humanity and becomes a mindless killer. But again, he went from no one should have the right to determine the future of the world to what kind of world are we building? I saw the idea that Shay might not be fully into being a Templar, and after the Brotherhood is over, he ends up leaving or something, but at the end of the game, he reaffirms his allegiances to the Templar Order, and we also learn that he went on to train both his son and grandson into becoming Templars. So I don't know, the man seems really devoted to this. Now, I'm not saying Shay's a villain, but to write him in such a way where his moralities contradict his original self that we see at the start of the game really just shows that this is some story about character development, but we don't really get to see that development because again, this all happened in the 1 year time skip. The modern segments of the story feels more like it's tacked on because, sure, why not? We've come this far. We're back at Abstergo Entertainment, but with a different character from the one in Black Flag. The only name we have to go by is Numbskull, which I doubt is their legal name. I don't think there's parents out there going like, let's name our kid Dumbass. So the lore implication here is that Abstergo Entertainment is a toxic workplace with a common occurrence of verbal abuse. Like Ubisoft. The person we play as has to go through Shay's memories on the order of Master Templar Otto Berg. The reason Berg wants this is to send these recordings to the assassins to break their resolve using the memories of a failed assassin? Just say you want to cyberbully them. I feel like most assassins would look at this and go, wow, this Shay guy just kinda sucks TBH, and just move on. But this also brings up a point, do they have some sort of DM with one another? Like, this is like what, 2014? Like, do the Templars and assassins have like regular Skype calls back to back where they send like shitpost memes or something like that? We also end up finding these recordings by Berg about assassin defectors he respects and how they show the validity of the Templars, and it is not a good list. We've never really seen Templars becoming assassins apart from in Assassin's Creed 1, who's Altair's wife, Maria Thorpe, I believe. But we tend to see assassins becoming Templars. But the reason to become Templars is pretty laughable when you look at it. For example, we had Lucy, who defected from the assassins because of her separation from them, and also she just does not like William Miles as mentor. Duncan Walpole, the guy Edward killed at the beginning of Black Flag, he defected because he didn't get the promotions he wanted at the time. There was Harris as well, who also defected because of slow progression. Baptiste, who defected because his friends left him to be closer to a woman that he loved. They mentioned Daniel Cross, but I don't know if that guy counts because he seemed more like a sleeper agent for the Templars rather than an assassin who defected to the Templars. I'd say the only valid person on this list is El Muallim. Now, it's stated that El Muallim was never a Templar. He never became one, but he did betray the assassins to bring about peace in the world through order and control, like what the Templars do believe. But everyone else just left because they just did not like their position in the assassins, and I don't really think that's enough to break their resolve or these are valid people to respect. At the end, there's a mid-credit scene where our character gets an offer to join the Templars, and they can either accept and become a member of a secret organization, or they can decline and get shot, and this ending is left ambiguous. And that's Assassin's Creed Rogue. Rogue was kinda interesting. I liked the premise of it, but I felt it wasn't explored well enough. If the game was like twice the length or just even a bit longer, maybe it could have been better to explore a few of those elements regarding Shay's defection and his change from assassin to Templar. The gameplay was okay, but again, a lot of it was just kind of like the same gameplay, just slightly improved. I don't really like these kind of like this kind of section of the games where we had like Connor, Edwards, and Shay. Edwards' game was okay. I kind of liked being a pirate, but as Assassin's Creed games, I don't know. I felt it was kind of dull. The parkour kind of stayed the same, and I really didn't like the hands-holdy kind of feel where you gotta sprint to leap off to areas that are more dangerous, and I'm honestly just kind of glad I'm done with these. I think some people might call them the Kenway trilogies, even though Haytham Kenway was only slightly playable in Assassin's Creed 3, but then he had an appearance in Rogue, and honestly, I just am glad I'm done with this. Overall, what did I think of the game? Did I like it? It was okay. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I really liked this one. I had fun looking at Shay's character, and if you thought so too, then consider leaving a like on the video. But if you think I'm wrong, and that Shay's the best protagonist we have so far, then leave a dislike. I'm sort of waiting to see when the story kind of goes downhill, but I don't know if it's later or if it already happened and I'm just too accepting of what's going on. But if you want to see what I think of the other games in the future, then consider subscribing. That's all for now. Thank you again, and remember that I appreciate you.